6 p.m. in Rifum, 6 p.m. in Yaoundé, and it's time for the news in the Queen's language. Let's begin this edition of the news with our bullet points. The visually impaired have expressed their gratitude this Tuesday, January 4th, 2022, to Louis Braille, inventor of the visually impaired system of reading and writing, as Cameroon joins the international community to commemorate World Braille Day. Cameroonians have continued to criticize the 0.2% increase on deposits and withdrawal charges on mobile money transactions. Many have took to their social media calling for the cancellation of the 2022 tax law on mobile money. And in sports, Cameroonian-born international shot stopper Andre Onana has signed a 5-year contract with the Italian club side Inter Milan. The 25-year-old signed the contract as a free agent. Those were our top stories. I'll be right back. As you heard in one of our late stories, Cameroon has joined the international community this Tuesday, January 4, 2022, to commemorate World Braille Day, a day observed in honor of Louis Braille, inventor of the visually impaired system of reading and writing. Our staff lady Anne Omeko went down to the visually impaired center in the nation's capital city, Yaoundé, and put together the following report for the news.
January 4th, 2022 is observed as the International Day of Braille, an instrument used by the visually impaired persons, a way to ease the reading and writing of this group of people with special needs.
Le braille est dans cette écriture.
Braille is that system of writing done with 6 dots, which permits the visually impaired to have access to education and writing. So, it is from these 6 points of every combination that constitutes a letter. It constitutes of 64 letters, not 24 as known in the alphabet.
A special printing machine is used to print out already typed text on a computer with the use of a printing machine on harder A4 papers.
A computer that has a vocal synthesis, which is a voice permitting me to have access to all that is inscribed on the screen. As a physically impaired person, I can't see what is on the screen nor use a mouse. I use only keyboards. This technology permits me to have access to the computer and to carry out some engagements.
Visually impaired children also put in effort to learn and master the basics with the didactic materials put at their disposal. Despite their disabilities, one can be proud of their performances and thanks to the teachers for their outstanding performances.
Point croix à gauche, point 4, point 5, point 6 à droite.
For January, observed in honor of French educator Louis Braille, who invented a system of reading and writing for the visually impaired persons. He was determined to find a way of reading and writing that could bridge the gap between people who could see and those who couldn't.
We now take you over to the west region of the country, where the Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Massenangale Bibehe, has expressed satisfaction with the work done at the Bafoussam Bamungum Airport, one of the air routes through which football delegations are using for the Africa Cup of Nations. He made that declaration, or he expressed his satisfaction this January 3rd, 2022, during a visit to the airport in the presence of the West Regional Governor, Fonka Augustine. The minister equally used this as an opportunity to dish out instructions to airport authorities in the West region. The following report has an in-depth of this story. The minister inspected the runway, power plant, fire vehicles, weather station, lobby, checkpoint, commercial area, boarding room, VIP lounge, and other areas of the airport. The Bafoussam Bamungum Airport has begun welcoming Team B delegations made up of Senegal, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Guinea-Conakry. Minister Jean-Ernest Ngale Masena Bibehe, accompanied by the Director General of Cameroon Civil Aviation Authority, Paul Avomo Asumu Koki, and the West Regional Governor Awafonka Augustine. It is the last visit in the series to airports through which participating teams are already arriving the country for the Continental Football Bonanza. During the visit, the transport boss told officials of the Bamungum Airport to ensure that no unforeseen incidents should be recorded in the transport sector during the football show. Today, we are particularly happy to discover that everything has been put in place and it's the best ways they could be done. The Bamungum Airport has been on renovation for the past 2 years. A Doppler VHF omnidirectional range system has been installed, as well as the runway lighting system for nocturnal use. It is an opportunity for me to tell you that we are satisfied for the work which has been done. Everything which was demanded has been done for this airport, and considerable efforts which at a moment made people believe that we got draw closer to international norms. 45 years after the country lastly hosted the Africa Cup of Nations, so much innovations have been made on infrastructure facilities to host the biggest continental football jamboree. Minister Jean-Ernest Ngale Masena Bibehe, before departing, held a working session with airport authorities where some instructions were dished out. On to one of our latest stories. Mobile money, considered to be the fastest means of money transfer in the country, has added a 0.2% charge on every deposit and withdrawal. The mobile money companies say it is due to the 2022 tax law on mobile money that has forced them to increase the 0.2% on every deposit and withdrawal. The new tax law has been greatly criticized by Cameroonians on social media. Ruth Fonyong completes this story.
Cameroonians started the new year with a new tax, and it was the mobile network operators that sent them a reminder of the particular tax. The tax is the 0.2% mobile money tax, which is expected to be levied on the transfer and withdrawal of money through the platform. One network provider circulated a message to subscribers. A leading business news poster, Business in Cameroon, summarized the tax as, according to the 2022 finance law, the tax applies to transactions carried out through all the traceable technical platforms except for bank transfers and electronic transactions carried out to pay tax and customs duty. Some economists explained it is becoming clear there exists an enormous potential to increase tax revenues by bringing into the tax bracket transactions that could be best defined as being undertaken in the informal economy. As such, government is charging an applicable rate of 1.7% on all electronic transactions, covering mobile phone transactions, covering mobile payments, bank, transfer merchants, payments, and inward remittances, which shall be borne by the sender except inward remittance, which will be borne by the recipient. Mobile money has become the former chosen service of the poor and struggling masses in Cameroon, especially those with no access to other financial services. Mobile money-driven financial inclusion is a timely intervention in meeting the financial inclusion needs of the poor and struggling masses. Unfortunately, the success of mobile money services in Cameroon has apparently attracted the attention of the government's taxation, whose intention appears to be broadened irrespective of the pains and struggles this brings to the struggling population, or with the little or no concern on the impact on those who depend on mobile money.
And if you are just watching, or if you're just joining us, you're watching the 6 p.m. newscast on Camdees Television in the Queen's language. And on to this cover short, the Association of Cameroon Elite Football Club, ASEC, under the leadership of Pascal Abunde, and the Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, under the leadership of Samuel Etofis, have reached an agreement to start the 2021-2022 season on the 21st of February 2021. According to information featuring from Bankomo, where the meeting held. The Elite One Championship will be played with 25 clubs next season, divided into 2 groups of 12 and 13 clubs. The winner will back home a significant sum of 50 million CFA francs, and FECAFOOT subvention for each participating club stands at 20 million CFA francs. As for the Elite 2, 13 clubs will be competing next season, including Fonja Streets of Bamenda, with each club receiving 10 million CFA francs as subvention from the new done FECAFOOT. General Pierre Semenge, president of the Cameroon Professional Football League, is also expected to pilot the affairs of the next season. We shall be bringing to you details in our subsequent edition of the news in the English language. On to one of our late stories. The Cameroonian-born international short-stopper Andre Onana has signed a 5-year contract with an Italian club side Inter Milan. The 25-year-old goalkeeper left the den for Italy, where he sealed the contract with Inter Milan, leaving his Netherlands side Ajax for Inter Milan. The stopkeeper, or the short-stopper, will earn €3 million every season. The following report has an in-depth of this story. After a successful medical test, Andre Onana has finally signed a 5-year contract term with the Italian club side Inter Milan as a free agent. This came as his contract in the Netherlands expired in June, and he for many months confirmed he wouldn't pen an extension. The new contract came after Inter forced his former club Ajax via email that they have agreed personal terms with the short-stopper, a necessary step in the process of signing someone who was a free agent. Andre Onana agreed the deal despite rumors that Barcelona and Arsenal were back in the running. The 25-year-old has signed a 5-year contract, then fly out to take place in the 2021 Continental Football Show from the 9th of January to February 6th, 2022 in Cameroon. Andre Onana will join Inter from July 1, replacing Semi Hadnovid. He will earn €3 million per season. It is a done deal, as Andre Onana, already in the colours of Inter Milan. The Indomitable Lions goalkeeper joins Milan after leaving camping, where he has been training in Yaoundé with the national team ahead of the Total Energy AFCON 2021. We now take you over to the North region, where the Runde Aja Stadium in Garoua, chief town of the North region, is scheduled to host Group D games of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations. Constructed in 1978, the stadium was renovated in 2010, and it now has a capacity of 30,000. The stadium is ready with arms open to welcome the Pharaohs of Egypt, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Sudan and Guinea-Bissau during the biggest continental football jamboree that begins this January 9th, 2022. Isaac Ngonkum has more.
Earmarked to host Group D games during the 2021 AFCON in Cameroon, the Runde Aja Stadium in Garoua, North region of Cameroon, has a total capacity of 30,000 seats. The stadium was constructed in 1978 and is home to Coton Sport of Garoua, one of the most titled clubs in Cameroon. It was renovated in 2010 and has received several international games. The Runde Aja Stadium in Garoua will certainly pull crowds during the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon, with continental heavyweights like Egypt, Nigeria, Guinea-Bissau and Sudan scheduled to play their group games in Garoua. Nigeria is expected to mobilize the strongest fan base in Garoua owing to her geographical and socio-cultural proximity with Cameroon as a whole and the 3 northern regions in particular. The Runde Aja Stadium will welcome stars like the Egyptian pharaoh Mohamed Salah, who plays for Liverpool in the English Premier League, Ahmed Musa of Nigeria and Samuel Chukwueze of Nigeria, just to mention a few. The Runde Aja Stadium and her annexed stadia, the Senager Stadium and the Coton Sport Stadium, all earmarked as training facilities, are ready for the AFCON. Let the games begin.
In our series of profiling the 24 nations to take part in this year's biggest football bonanza, we focus tonight on Malawi. Malawi will be taking part in the biggest continental football jamboree for the third time when the tournament begins this Sunday, January 9th, 2021 in the nation's capital city, Yaoundé. Malawi will be launched in Group B at the Bafoussam Odmi Sports Stadium at Kwekong alongside Senegal, Guinea-Conakry, and the COSAFA rivals Zimbabwe. Isaac Ngonkom profiles the team in the following report.
The Flames of Malawi jet into Cameroon in the days ahead with high ambitions to conquer the Africa Cup of Nations. It will be their third participation at the most prestigious football jamboree on the African continent after a stint at the 1984 tournament in Cote d'Ivoire and 2010 in Angola. The South African country qualified for the AFCON at the expense of fellow COSAFA rivals, Uganda, after beating them 1-0 on Judgment Day to finish second in the Group B qualifiers behind Burkina Faso. Head coach Meke Mwasi has selected young talent, most of whom are playing their professional football on the African continent and know each other pretty well. Players like Richard Mbulu, who plays for Baroka Football Club in South Africa, Kuda Muyaba of Polokwane City in South Africa, Frank Gabadino Mangu of Orlando Pirates in South Africa, John Banda of UG Songo in Mozambique, Peter Banda of Simba SC in Tanzania, Dennis Chembezi of Polokwane City in South Africa, and team captain Limbikani Nzava of Amazulu Football Club in South Africa are some glaring examples. Lodged in Group B of the 2021 AFCON in Cameroon, the Flames of Malawi will be hoping to burn the Teranga Lions of Senegal, the Warriors of Zimbabwe, and the Sili Nacional of Guinea-Conakry on their way to glory. Malawi recently recorded a 2-1 win over the Comoros Islands in a COSAFA-friendly derby as both nations continue to brace up for the continental showdown in Cameroon.
Away from sport, we now take you to our international page where the Tunisian Interior Minister has announced that the detained former Minister of Justice Noureddine Biri is suspected of terrorism. In Nigeria, 21 school children have been rescued at the northwestern part of the country. Meanwhile, the president of Botswana has been tested positive of the ravaging COVID-19 pandemic. Ruth Fonyong completes the stories in the following report.
Birik from the Islamist-inspired Amada Party was detained. Interior Minister Touafik Shafeddin accuses the former minister of being involved in terrorism and money laundering activities. According to what the public prosecutor has confirmed, there are suspicions of terrorism related to that case in alignment with the law 26 of the year 2015, dated August 7, 2015, concerning the fight against terrorism and money laundering. On Sunday, Biri was transferred to the hospital but continued his hunger strike. Islamist-inspired Amada Party played a central role in Tunisia politics until a power grab by President Kais Saied last year. Tunisia was the only democracy to emerge from Arab Spring uprisings of a decade ago. Some of the students who were abducted by gunmen from the government girls' secondary school in Jagebe last week after their release meeting with the state governor Bello Ma. Security forces responded and rescued the 21 people and are currently working to rescue the remaining victims and apprehend the perpetrators. A day after the attack on the school children, the Nigeria Air Force launched successful airstrike targeting the camps of the gunmen in Zamfara state. The government in groups of more than 150, according to Katsina Governor Aminu Masari, appears to be increasingly organized and well-armed despite moves by Nigerian authorities to clamp down the violence, including recently designating them as terrorist organizations. Botswana's President Mokwetsi Masisi has been tested positive for COVID-19 and placed in mandatory self-isolation. Omicron is causing a new wave of pandemic around the world, where it is currently present in about 100 countries, according to the World Health Organization. It is highly contagious, affecting both vaccinated people and those who have already been affected with the virus. While many countries are announcing tighter health restrictions with record numbers of new infections occurring daily. South Africa announced this week that it had passed the peak of the Omicron wave and eased health restrictions.
That international report takes us to the end of this edition of the news in the English language. But before we part companies, we remind you of our major stories. The visually impaired have expressed their gratitude this Tuesday, January 4, 2022, to Louis Braille, inventor of the visually impaired system of reading and writing, as Cameroon joins the international community to commemorate World Braille Day this January 4, 2022. Cameroonians have continued to criticize the 0.2% increase on deposit and withdrawal charges on mobile money transactions. Many have took to the social media calling for the cancellation of the 2022 tax law on mobile money. Cameroonian-born international shortstopper Andre Onana has signed a 5-year contract with the Italian club side Inter Milan. The 25-year-old signed the contract as a free agent. And it is here that the curtain draws for this edition of the news. Meet Desiree Trezion-Bounet at 8 p.m. for the news in the French language. I'll be with you tomorrow at 6 p.m. for another edition of the news. But before then, do have a wonderful evening in the company of our programs. Goodbye for now.
Sous le double patronage du ministre d'État